Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Lovely to see you again. Today is just a very unusual thing, I would say. This is something that you would never, for us, you'd never expect us to talk about this. But it is a new designer. Flanker, which is of a fragrance which I think we've both enjoyed, but have never really spoken about particularly much either. So it's a flanker of something we've not spoken about before.
So it's not exactly a flanker. So we are talking about Drakkar Intense by Guy Laroche. So it is not a flanker of Drakkar Noir.
No, I was wrong about that.
So it is a fragrant. It is a flanker of Drakkar, which was released 1972, which is 50 years ago.
Long time ago.
But you, like us, may be more familiar with Drakkar Noir, which is 1982 release, and it's the kind of almost the archetypal 1980s aromatic fougere, kind of oak moss.
Yeah, good stuff.
But having said that, we recently, not long ago, did a video about our favourite masculine kind of cheapies, classic cheapies, and we didn't include Drakkar Noir because
I've forgotten all about it.
I do. I mean, it's an amazing fragrance, but I think the modern iteration is. I do find it quite harsh.
Yeah, it's not the same as it would have been.
The other fragrances we included. There's some others which I prefer, but Drakkar Noir, a huge, massively iconic fragrance, and so to see another fragrance with the Drakkar name being released by Guy Laroche, we wanted to check it out.
And after such a long time as well, it's interesting.
So here are Drakkar Intense. I mean, also this was, we talk about some expensive fragrances, we talk about some cheaper ones, but this one is, what did I pay? £19.95, including postage for this 50ml bottle.
You can't go wrong with that.
Which is really not a lot of money. So I bought this, and I've worn this a few times, and I've certainly got some thoughts. As I said to Joe, I kind of went 180 kind of twice on this. So I'm really interested to see what you make of this, Joe. Here you go. Let's have a good couple of sprays.
I have to say, when Dan showed me this, I thought this was a flanker of Drakkar Noir. It's so interesting that it skipped one. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh, do you know, I have to say, my first thought is pleasing.
Yeah, it was interesting. If I tell you, when I first, I don't know if it's changed a little bit out of the first phrase, but when I wore it the first time, I was just quite aware there was a kind of like a modern woody amber molecule in this, which just felt, I kind of smelt, and I was like, oh, it's got that kind of generic, modern woody amber, which seems kind of to be in everything. I was a bit disappointed with that, and then as I wore it more, I kind of got this kind of slightly generic leathery suede and vanilla, and I was like, disappointed. But then I came back and I smelt it, and I thought, actually, no, I am getting those interesting herbaceous green notes. Yeah. There's quite a nice wormwood.
I immediately get the vintage nod here, which I'm pleased with, because they could so easily have done something off the wall, and Drakkar's not around anymore, really, is it? So
not the original Drakkar.
Not the original Drakkar. So they could.
I mean,
they could have done whatever they wanted. Yeah, they could have. There's no reason for them.
But I do think most people will, like us, see Drakkar and think, oh, Drakkar Noir, the one which is so famous and so available at all department stores still.
It does have that kind of woody amber thing, which I associate sometimes with slightly over persistent male deodorants.
Yeah, and
not a lot.
And the fragrance which I thought of, this doesn't smell like it, but I recognised that woody amber from was Phantom. Which we talked about, and as soon as I smelled it, I was like, oh god, it's not going to be one of those. And it's not. It's much better than that.
But it's got that herbaceous green.
I get the wormwood. I get
barbershop-y vibe going on.
Definite barbershop, slight shaving foam, bit of juniper. Do you get?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't. What I don't get is oak moss at all. I don't get any, or even the kind of I mean, this is a kind of a modern kind of IFA fragrance, so you're never going to get a big hit of oak moss, of course. But I don't even get a kind of a kind of synthetic pheromoss, synthetic oak moss. None of that kind of like bitter oak mossy twang at all.
And the persistence, I worry a little bit about the persistence of this being not quite natural. I don't mean in terms of naturals versus synthetics. I just mean it's a little bit too insistent somehow. If that makes any sense.
I think the woody kind of amber is aiming to not just reinforce the naturals but actually kind of overrides it. Yeah. I think I didn't feel that quite so much. I felt this became, when I wore it on skin, there was a patchouli note which became kind of quite strong and almost gave a kind of oak mossy effect without it actually smelling like oak moss. But I still got this, this green leafy feeling, which is not that far from oak moss, which did last on skin.
That leafy tobacco thing going on.
Yeah, there is a quite nice, and there's a nice kind of wormwood segue to tobacco, I think.
I have to say, the thing I like the most is maybe a really basic thing, but I like the fact that it has got this vintage nod.
Yeah.
For a modern designer, it doesn't smell. If you said, does this smell like a fragrance from now? I would say hints of it, but also it's respectful of its origins.
I would also say it's very elegantly put together fragrance.
Very smooth.
You're just trying it straight away on card, but I didn't really feel there were any kind of rough edges. It's a very well composed fragrance.
Yeah, I think it's pleasant. I'm pleasantly surprised, I have to say, so far. Obviously on skin, I know.
Yeah, I mean, so on skin. So there was also this woody amber never became too dominant. It was just kind of there all the time. But as I caught the occasional waft of myself, I did get that smell, which, as you say, you think, is it a kind of modern deodorant, modern generic designer? And there was a slight vanilla-iness as well, which a slight generic vanilla-y quality. But this herbaceous, I get a bit of clary sage as well. Do you get that? Lots of those juniper, wormwood, clary sage, those notes that you would recognise from those 80s aromatic fougères, which add complexity and interest.
It is giving me that that woody amber molecule headache, which I get very specifically with these. It's right behind that left eye.
Yeah. I say it's
interesting. Which is a shame because I do like it.
Because the first, as I said to you, the first wearing, I was almost blinded by that.
Yeah.
And then when I wore it again, I thought, actually, I am getting some of those interesting herbaceous qualities I associate with those 80s aromatic fougères. And so, my second wearing was positive. And then I wore it a third time and I thought, actually, no, I am getting that that woody amber. And then you get this kind of dull suede. Again, like this kind of generic suede note. But you've got to say, this, were we to compare it to something like Phantom, this smells a gajillion times better than Phantom. And, I guess better is maybe subjective, but it is far more elegantly composed.
It's nice, it's sort of nicer immediately to my nose than that, even though the other one didn't give me the little headachy thing. I think that's everyone's different, and I think if I wore that on the back of the neck and the elbows, for instance, instead of right here, I could wear that for a day and feel I'm wearing a decently put together fragrance for a really good price.
I guess
I wouldn't be unhappy.
What I don't really understand is, perhaps I can see I assume what they want to achieve is, I don't know the original Drakkar, but if we think that they wanted to recreate a classic aromatic fougère with a modern twist, I think that is what they've achieved.
Yeah.
But I don't know who would want to wear it. If you like Drakkar Noir, I think you'll be disappointed by this. If you like classic aromatic fougères, again, I'm just reiterating, this is not a flanker of Drakkar Noir, it's a flanker of Drakkar. But if you like classic aromatic fougères, you think you would be a little bit disappointed for this. If you're someone who's looking for a modern fragrance, I think you would be equally disappointed because there's a kind of a vintage feel to it.
It's not filling all the holes that you would not all that sounds right.
No, and
it's not filling all the gaps that you'd necessarily want it to fill.
And if you want a cheap classic smelling fragrance,
Roger Dove. I'm kidding, because they're not cheap or classic.
But something like Quorum or whatever. There are plenty.
Yeah, which we talked about.
Yeah,
that
or Aramis.
day.
I mean, there are loads of options there. So I don't see, even though this is cheap, I can't really see who would buy it.
No, I mean, I have to say, I'm really pleasantly surprised by that, and I think it is nice. It's respectful for the price. But I think absolutely you're right, bang on the money. Who does that appeal to? And I can't figure out which crowd. The Drakkar fans that love the original, maybe they'd buy it as a nostalgic thing and see if it's an improvement or an intensification, as it says, intense. But having fallen out of distant memory, out of recent memory, I'd be surprised if anybody would buy it for that purpose.
Yeah. But I think the majority of people will think, oh, Drakkar Noir.
Yeah, it's the same. The bottle design is the same. And
well, it's different to the original Drakkar bottle, yeah. I mean...
But pleasing, it's
pleasing,
perfectly well made.
Yeah.
It's better than getting hit by a bus,
I mean, I bought this because it was cheap and I was quite, excited about trying it. I can't see myself ever wearing this.
No, I mean, I would say hang on to it because it might become a limited edition.
Possibly, if I haven't sold it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
But it's fine. It's fine actually. I'm not at all offended by it. I would buy.
Gave you a headache.
It did really give me a headache. But maybe that passes. I've never really had one of these for a long time, so
no. I mean,
I can't remember.
My initial reaction was exactly the same as you. My second reaction was better, but then I came back to it on my third.
Yeah.
And as I said, I mean, I bought it. I don't see myself wearing it at all. Which is, and you will have seen from our recent videos, especially our classic cheapies video, there are lots of cheap fragrances that we bought and we own and we will happily wear. So it's not a question that we don't like cheaper fragrances or that great fragrances can't be made on a low budget, because they can. This is not really. This falls in between the lines. Yeah. Somehow.
But good. Good effort on not in a patronising way, but a good effort and a good to make something that's not a complete car crash.
No, it's a well-made fragrance.
Synthetically smelling modern pile of poo. Yeah, it has some personality. It'd
be interesting to hear from people who have smelt the original Drakkar and how this, because
I'd love to smell that.
We can't get kind of Drakkar Noir out of our heads when talking about this. So it'd be interesting if you have smelt the original Drakkar, how this compares and how this fits in, or if you completely disagree with us and you love it and think it's the best thing ever.
And if you have samples of the original, send them our way and we'll
we'd love to try it.
Yeah.
Until what do I say?
Until next time.
Happy sniffing.